What is up, everybody? Professional wrestler Chris Wilde live here in the car as the Eagles earlier today beat the shit out of the Washington Commanders, and I mean that in a literal sense. I mean, this game was all about Carson Wentz facing the Eagles for the first time, and the Eagles made Carson Wentz look like 2020 Carson Wentz. Eagles defensive line absolutely dominated. 9 total sacks on Wentz. He couldn't get anything going until probably the end of the third quarter. Most of the fourth quarter was garbage time. But the Eagles handled their business today. Jalen Hurts, who replaced Carson Wentz in Philly, I thought looked terrific in the first half. I think the first drive it kind of got me a little bit worried. But look, man, the guy the pass, and Devonta Smith showed exactly why he was a Heisman winner. Let's go, Birds. That's right. Why he was a Heisman winner, why he was picked where he was. His best game as a pro, in my opinion. Looked absolutely awesome. A.J. Brown, absolutely awesome. Dallas Goedert got a little bit nicked up. He's okay. Had a good touchdown. Offensive line played great. Not many penalties. The running game left some things to be desired. Obviously, Washington comes in 28th against the run. They cleaned that up pretty well. But the big story here to me, and look, again, I'm absolutely excited that the Eagles are 3-0, and I hate to be this guy. I am a little bit annoyed that they can't score in the second half of this game. They scored in the second quarter, and that was it. Washington missing some guys in that secondary. They still have a very good defensive line. I think Sweat and Payne are really good. But, you know, they are still missing Chance Young. I don't understand why the Eagles cannot score in the second half. I don't know if it's Shane Steichen taking his foot off the gas a little bit, trying to eat up clock. I'm not sure what exactly happens there. There were some stuff definitely left on the field. Devonta Smith, yeah, impressed again. He looks like, look, he was good last year as a rookie. He looks even better to me year 2. And I know the first week he didn't have a catch. But last week and this week, man, the guy just, especially this week, 176 yards, a touchdown, should have been 2 touchdowns. The kid looks absolutely awesome. You can't ask for much from a wide receiver than you got from Devonta Smith. He caught the ball in open space, broke tackles, caught a deep ball, caught a touchdown in the end zone. It was a fade for a guy his size. I thought was really, really impressive. And again, Jalen Hurts, man. Jalen Hurts is making these haters look stupid. He's making these content creators out there make videos. With Eagles wins, they did try to stay aggressive with big throws. Yeah, there were a couple that they didn't connect on. I just felt like as far as throwing the ball through the middle, and they did a lot of inside runs, which just didn't work, I thought, the second half. But back to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I'm seeing videos, and guys that hate Jalen are really starting to pump up Jonathan Gannon in this defense. Look, not for nothing and not taking anything away from that defensive performance. It was great. They played Carson Wentz and an offensive line that was missing their starting center, and I think 2 of their starting guards were out. With one of the tackles kept going out of the game. So they played a very poor offensive line. It reminded me of that game last year against the Jets. But look, taking nothing away from them, because I've roasted Jonathan Gannon a lot. Taking nothing away from them, they played an offensive game. But I thought Jalen Hurts was just as impressive. Second game in a row, over 330 yards passing. He had 3 touchdowns in the air, barely ran the football. He's proving all these haters wrong, man. He's proving them wrong. Little by little as each of these games go on. It seems like no matter what defensive coordinators throw at this kid, he is making the right reads, the right adjustments. That touchdown to Devonta Smith was so impressive because the play clock was down to like 2 seconds. They're running out of time in the half. He calls an audible, which was to Smith. You saw the touchdown to Brown. He's basically telling Brown, look, you're going to get this touchdown. Be ready. Absolutely controlled the offense. And what I love about Jalen Hurts is he looked pissed off in that second half. Miles Sanders, I caught a little bit of his press conference. He was upset about the second half and the fact that they didn't score. I'm sure he was also upset because, he had 47 yards rushing. They didn't really do much rushing the ball against his defense. But again, Washington knew they were going to run. They weren't going to let them run. And they had some bad games against Jacksonville and Detroit as far as against the run. People are not going to be happy with Jalen, but please. Yeah, it's just, to me, and I said this in the Minnesota reaction video, I was always going to give this kid a chance. Like, I don't understand why people coming into this season acted like Jalen Hurts was a 10-year vet that couldn't change his stripes or couldn't learn anything new. The 23-year-old, now 24-year-old young man that really is just discovering new parts of his game. During the offseason, he put a lot of work in with Tom House, met with Tom Brady, met with his receivers, just continued to learn and continued to get better. First time he's ever had the same offensive coaches back-to-back, which is insane to me. He has just looked great. And I know it's only 3 games. Last week I said it's only 2 games. And I will continue to it's only 4, it's only 5. So let's just keep this going, man. There's some injury news coming from today. Dallas Goedert was in some pain with his shin. Heard he wasn't wrapped up in the locker room. That's good. Darius Slay was battling a back injury the entire game, which I'll be honest with you, when he wasn't in there, McPherson, second-year player, had some questionable plays, but for most part, looked decent when he was in there. Washington has some good wide receivers, man. Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Doxson, the rookie. I think they're definitely good. Logan Thomas is a good tight end. Antonio Gibson, a good pass-catching running back. And they were completely shut down. They were absolutely shut down by this Eagles defense. I'm hyped, man. The Eagles, 3-0, undefeated, number 1 in the East. You got a game tomorrow between the Giants and the Cowboys. Agree with me on Jalen. Just understand why people don't want to give him a chance. A shot in the first place. Well, and I'll answer that. Like, there's a couple of underlining reasons. I think a lot of people hated the fact that he was drafted when this team was supposed to be Carson Wentz's team. You still got a lot of people that are fans of Carson Wentz, and they hated the way that he went out. You got a lot of people that look at Jalen's time in Alabama, and all they look at is, he got pulled in the championship game. They not looking at how he basically came in the next year in relief of Tua, who got hurt and won the game. His time in Oklahoma was good. He just gets better every year, but people didn't want to see that, man. People look at this guy as a guy that can't throw, that isn't accurate, that doesn't have a big arm. Like, this shit cannot be... this stuff is stuff that can't be fixed, is what they were acting like. Last year, Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator, D-line coach, said that he can't read defenses. He can't read defenses. Again, all things that can be worked on and can be fixed. The guy has all the intangibles we heard about. He's a leader. He's getting better game by game, year by year, season by season. He's going to continue to get better, in my opinion. He's got the perfect coaching staff behind him. A young guy like Nick Sirianni who can relate to this football team. Shane Steichen calling the plays, looks like an absolute technician, unless it's in the second half. He's very comfortable with Brian Johnson, the QB coach. He's just... Again, he's absolutely everything you want in a quarterback. And I'll be honest with you, it was kind of sad watching Carson today. I was a Carson Wentz fan. When Carson was hurt, I looked at it and said, this is going to be, every year it was like, this is the Carson Wentz revenge tour. He's gonna come back, and we're looking at least a Super Bowl with this guy. The next time we see the Eagles hoisting Lombardi, it's going to be Wentz with the trophy. That's what we all thought, or at least the Wentz fans, and I was a big Wentz fan at one point. And then you hear the stories from the locker room. You watch them in 2019, bring them to the playoffs and get hurt right away. You watch 2020, one of the worst seasons I ever remember watching from an Eagles quarterback. He begs for a trade, gets traded, goes to Indy, puts up some decent numbers, but not when it matters, gets kicked out of Indianapolis, and now he's in Washington, and he just you saw him today. He did everything that we hated that he did in 2020. Held onto the ball way too long. Got sacked a bunch, turned the ball over. He had an interception in the end zone or 2-point conversion, which those don't count, but that was there. Fumbled the ball a couple times. I think we got one of them. He was the Carson Wentz that we all complained about. And unfortunately for him, and again, I'm not going to write anybody off this early in the season, but man, he looks bad. The yards that he had were the garbage time yards in that fourth quarter. The Eagles seemed like they were doing a prevent defense, had a lot of rookies on there. Speaking of rookies, big shout out Jordan Davis. He had a knucklehead penalty that almost put up points for Washington. But he also almost created a couple sacks, stopped some runs. He was in there on some big plays. He had the deflection that was almost intercepted in the early goings. Nakobe Dean, haven't seen much of him. But yeah, he looks like he's catching on. And again, a lot of these guys do. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson looks like he's getting the defense a little bit better. James Bradbury looks like the James Bradbury, in my opinion, of when he was with the Carolina Panthers. These guys are all coming on. The linebackers, man, TJ Edwards has taken such a big step. Again, just because they drafted Nakobe Dean, it doesn't mean that's Nakobe Dean's job, and TJ Edwards is showing us that. Because they're white all over the field all the time, it seems like. You just can't ask for better than what we're getting from these linebackers, man. They're starting to tackle. They're starting to look really good. The defensive line, again, getting home finally. Is Carson the bad quarterback? I think so right now. So this team loves to beat up on bad quarterbacks, and they did beat up on Carson Wentz today. I said, in the topic, or in the description, the title, I should say, the Philadelphia Eagles hurts Wentz and the Commanders, and they just did. They just absolutely did. It was the worst game of the Commanders season. And shout out to 4th and John. Shout out to everybody from Philly Sports Trips that went out there. Yeah, Dean does have a hard time seeing the field because he needs to learn the defense. But shout out to all those guys that made it down there. There were times when it sounded like an Eagles home game. Carson Wentz on the field on third down. I hear defensive chants. The Eagles score, I see cheering. Nothing but green in the stands, it seemed like. And this is a season for the Commanders where it looked like they could be a decent team if you watch those first couple weeks. They got the brakes blown off them by Detroit, but made it a game at the end. And you would think they'd have more fans there. I want to see us score up in these games. Me too. Yeah, they should have. And I was listening to Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. I synced that up to my TV, and I think Mike Quick was like, the Eagles, if they wanted to, could have scored 40 points today. And my thing is, why not? Why don't they want to? I want Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter sitting comfortably with over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. You know what I mean? I want to see Gardner Minshew in there because the game is so far out of reach. I don't know why they don't just go for the kill. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's like they don't want to show more of... I don't know. But it is just a little concerning. And to me, if that's all we have to complain about after 3 games is the fact that they haven't scored 40 plus and they took their feet off the gas pedal, I'll take that. I definitely will take that. I had this as a loss when the schedule first came out. I had it as a loss. I had them beating the Lions, and I had them beating the Vikings, and I had this as a loss because I thought this was going to be his Super Bowl, and the team was going to rally around him. And I looked at the Washington. I looked at their schedule, and I saw pretty much them beat. I thought they'd beat the Lions, and I thought they'd beat the Jaguars. I thought, man, they're going to go on a 3-0 run, and then after that they'll kind of settle down a little bit. And no, they just haven't. Today again, we saw the Carson that we all kind of were hoping that he wouldn't be. It's a shame. Yeah, I agree. Third quarter sucked for them. If Carson played like this at home, week 10 could be a complete nightmare. Yeah, look. I feel like the schedule maker should have made this first game against Carson in Philly and just get that out of the way. But imagine what he saw today. Imagine what it's going to be like when we face him later on at home. Fans are going to be going absolutely crazy. And hey, by that time, look, they've got a rookie. I can't remember his name right off as you see him driving. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. But they got a rookie who looked really good in their training camp and looked really good in preseason. And Carson Wentz might not be the quarterback when they play us again. He might not be, because if he plays like this every game, I can't see. It's Ron Rivera's job's on the line too, by the way. I think the league might have passed him by. But guys, with that being said, I'm going to try to do another video tomorrow, just go a little bit more in depth. I wanted to do it after last week's win. Life has just gotten super, super, super busy. And Howell, Sam Howell. Yep, Sam Howell. Oh, is he hurt? What do you think about next week? Next week's against Jacksonville. Last that I checked, Jacksonville was up on the Chargers. And I was watching the NFL Network, saw some highlights. Trevor Lawrence looked like he got dinged on his leg. But, man, he can sling the ball around. And Doug Peterson is going to want to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a revenge game for Doug Peterson. I love Doug Peterson. He will not get booed at the Link next week, that's for sure. But I still think roster to roster, we're better. I think we're better. We're a better team. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are an underrated team this year. Like I said, Trevor Lawrence can fling the ball. They've got some good wide receivers. Travis Etienne is a good running back. So I think it's going to be a close, tight game. I really do. But I think the Eagles are gonna come out on top because, again, they're still not satisfied, and that's what I love. They're happy about the win, but they're not satisfied. So yeah, I think it'll be a fun game too. I hope it's not close. I hope that the Eagles take care of business all 4 quarters and kind of put a whipping on Doug Peterson. I talk about the Doug Peterson factor, him wanting to beat the Eagles. Well, you don't think Nick Sirianni wants to beat Doug Peterson? The guy that's got statues up and pictures up all over the building? Absolutely, this is going to mean a little bit more to Nick Sirianni. And Jalen Hurts, for that matter, too. Which I thought today did. I thought today had to mean a lot for Jalen. Yeah, points in all 4 quarters, absolutely. And just dominate, man. You're at home. The home crowd's going to be nuts. Points in all 4 quarters. The defense not giving up anything. It's going to be it's going to be Jonathan Gannon versus Doug Peterson. Can Jonathan Gannon mix it up a little bit to where Doug doesn't know what's coming? That's what it's going to be. But yeah, I think next week it could be a trap game for the Birds. I hope it's not. If it is, no better guy to lose to than Doug Peterson, in my opinion. But I think this team is different, man. This team is different. Because if there was ever a trap game, it would be this week against Washington. And I just feel like they're checking all the boxes, man. Detroit, can they go on the road against a scrappy team in a Super Bowl-like environment because it was their Super Bowl? Can they win? Check, they did. Week 2 against a Minnesota team that beat Green Bay that everybody was really, really stroking that week. Can they win their home opener? Can Jalen Hurts look good as a passer? Check. Week 3 comes. Can they go into Washington against their former quarterback and not have a letdown game? Check. And if you remember last year against the Saints, this was a big win for the Eagles, probably their best win of the year. And they went into New York and lost that game against the Giants. I was wondering about that. Would this game have that feeling to it as well? And they handled their business, man. Absolutely handled their business. First quarter sucked. Second quarter was awesome. And the rest of the game kind of sucked for the offense. The defense held up. So we'll see, man. I'm hyped, guys. How can you not be hyped about this football team right now? Again, there's just an energy around this football team right now. There's just a confidence, a swagger. I love Jalen Hurts' demeanor, like throwing the touchdowns and really not like overdoing the celebration. He's just calm. He's poised. You can tell when he's annoyed. It's just I really love what I'm seeing with Nick Sirianni. A lot of people question giving the plays to Shane Steichen. I'm loving what I'm seeing with Shane Steichen on the sideline. The guy looks dialed in and intense, and I absolutely love that. There's just something different about this football team this year. And so far, through 3 weeks, it's been great for us. Hopefully they can make it through 4. 300-plus yards for Hurts back-to-back. Yeah, who would have thought? Who would have thought this kid would throw up 300-yard passing games? And I mean, some of these footballs, and I can't wait to look at the All-22 and to see some of the dissection of some of these plays. Some of these touchdowns, like the one to Devonta Smith, holy shit, it's right. I mean, it's only where he can get the football. Like, he's throwing some pretty passes. These aren't fluke touchdown plays. He's airing the ball out. All I heard from guys on WIP, from announcers on WIP, I don't know, what are they? Radio personalities. During that open camp, I don't think Jalen's going to really have a big year because they're not throwing the ball deep. Nothing's going down there. It's all these little passes. Of course, they're only going to show that during practice. He looks like, again, one of the things, if you ask me, has changed about Jalen, he looks confident. He looks confident, man, because he knows he's got receivers that can catch the football. When you got A.J. Brown on the field, it changes everything. It changes everything. Dallas Goedert changes everything. When, he didn't have Dallas for the whole, he had Dallas for the whole year, but it was a lot of Dallas and Ertz. It was real weird last year going into that. Quez Watkins. I mean, there's so many. Zach Pascal. Look, let's talk about Zach Pascal for a little bit, man. All he does is catch tough footballs. It's what he does. When you got a 3rd and 6, you look at Zach Pascal and he's got the ball. They didn't have that guy. They didn't have that guy last year. And Greg Ward, okay. I mean, but it's, you know what you're getting. The one thing, and I'm thinking of Greg Ward made you think of this, they got to do something to special teams. Britton Covey's ass got thrown around and killed today. He muffed the one punt. Look, I have a lot of respect for the beating that he took, and still running and not doing this all day. I've got a big respect for him as far as that goes. But they got to figure something out, man. They've got to figure something out. Devin Allen, maybe. You can't. So they brought him up. They brought up Britton Covey for the 3rd time. That's the last time you can actually bring him up. Now you kind of have to sign him. But something's got to. I don't know. Something's got to change. Is it that they're not creating lanes for these guys to run through? I saw Devonta Smith was actually back there for a punt at one point. Something with the special teams has got to change. Jake Elliott's looked great, knock on wood. So that's nice. But as far as these returners go, man, I feel like we're never going to see an Eagles punt return for a touchdown again. I mean, how long has it been? It feels like it's been since Brian Mitchell since we've seen something, or Deshaun Jackson, I should say. But they got to figure something out. Yeah, and again, the way that they show it, the way that they show it on TV, you don't get to see if they're, like, it makes me question, are there lanes to run through or is there just nowhere to go? Yeah, again, it's game 3. He's a rookie. Maybe he'll break one. Maybe it'll happen next week. Or maybe it'll happen in a really, really important game. I don't know. But something's got to change, man, because he got hammered today. And again, I'll give the kid all the respect and tip my hat for holding on to the football as he was getting absolutely destroyed. But they've got to figure something out there because it's going to hurt them when they play the better teams. Washington sucks. Detroit, I think, is better than we thought they were. I think Minnesota might be a little bit worse than we thought they were. When they play these better teams, the Packers, are they a better team? The NFC is so wide open, guys. I don't even know if I would say that. Player vision had to find the holes. I don't. Again, are there holes open for this kid to bust through? I don't know. But that's something that they have got to figure out. Also, man, the run game today, it's another thing. If I had to complain, I would love to have seen them run the football a little bit better. I still think they need a really big back for those tough yards. I know Trey Sermon has been inactive pretty much every game, right? I don't know what you do to bring him back, but, again, that safety on Boston Scott, it was a bad play call, I thought. Again, the bad offensive line play during that play, but I think if you got a big guy like Trey Sermon to maybe just get you through the middle, that could be something that you look into, like Garrett Blunt, like from 2017, even a Jay Ajayi. But giving it to little Boston Scott in your own end zone, not a smart move, not a smart play call, and definitely not on an inside run that hasn't worked all game. I think you need to find a way to get Miles Sanders in the end zone. He has 1 touchdown in 3 games. He had none all last year, so I guess we're improving. But you got to find a way to get him there too. So there's so much room for improvement, and we're 3-0, and we complain and we can critique. And I think that's a cool thing. I think that's a good thing. I wouldn't want to sit here during a 24-8 win over Washington and say the Eagles played out of their mind. I think there'd be a problem there. So I'm happier than the first week. Yeah, absolutely. They've got to get, and again, I haven't really looked at Jacksonville. I don't know what their defense is like as far as against the run, but the Eagles last year won games because they ran the football. Let's continue that, and then add in Jalen Hurts and his arm and these receivers. But that's all I got for you guys right now. I'm going to get off the live as I'm on the road. It's starting to get a little bit darker outside. I'm seeing some rain clouds coming up. Guys, Eagles win 24-8, 3-0, top of the division. Still room for improvement. Jalen Hurts looks awesome. Is silencing the haters week by week. Jonathan Gannon is silencing me because I was a Jonathan Gannon hater for forever. His defense did their thing today. I can't say anything bad. 9 sacks. Carson, I don't know if you're going to be here at week 10. I don't know if you're going to be starting quarterback for the Commanders around that time. But if you are, we'll see you then. If not, what else do I got to say? I mean, karma is a scary thing, and I think karma came and got you today. With that being said, guys, everybody stay safe. Stay healthy. Go Birds. Big win today, and I'll see you later.